Sorry. Yeah. And Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. We are not affiliated with any religious group or organization. We've been teaching this truth since 1969. So-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Indians are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And today, we have one of our special feast days, what you call the Feast of Purim. And this is an excellent, to really show how, how the Most High not only delivers his people, but really show how, the power of the children of Israel and the nation coming together. And you're seeing where, where brotherhood, and which is really sisterhood, which is synonymous to sisterhood, really comes into play, and how it really helps save, you understand, the children of Israel in the story, in the book of Esther. Right. So this feast runs for basically 2 days, right? Today, the 7th, and tomorrow also, which is the 8th. 2 days of festing and dining. And Israel like to keep parties, and Israel is good at partying. That's one thing we know. Right. Definitely good at partying. So they come down, to the spot wherever you are throughout the nation of Israel, whether it's in New York, Cali, no matter where we are, right here in Trinidad here, and at our school, come out and let's celebrate. Let's have a feast. Let's really and great women that is in this book called the Bible. This book doesn't belong to nobody else. This book only belongs to the so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Indians. This doesn't belong to no other race, no other people. This book only belongs to this group of people. You understand?
That's right.
So today, we're going to go through the book of Ruth, right? And this is where, the whole genesis of Purim, stems from this wonderful act that this sister did to save the nation of Israel. And not only the sister, but the man of the Lord who was, who was right there, who she followed the instructions of. You understand? And we're going to see, what a righteous sister is. You understand? And understand how she's supposed to be able to act. You understand? This is how, a woman of Israel is supposed to be. And there are many examples, not only Esther, but you have Deborah and a lot of other women in the scriptures that are here, in this word here, that we're able to get examples from. And we're going to see righteous and strong men here in the I.S.U.P.K. I'm upset. Your card, this is
Officer Barrier.
And today we're going to go through this story and really get that good understanding of what it is to be righteous. 1, to be a righteous woman, and 2, to be a righteous man for the Most High. Right, so we're going to start with the story in the book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Babuko Shah.
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, even 127 provinces.
Now we see this king here had a very extremely large territory. Understand? What we call the Persian and Medes, right? But in this case here, right, they say that in those days when the king Ahasuerus, right, and when we look in the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary, you get a little more in depth in terms of who this man actually is. And you will see actually that it was pronounced Xerxes. You understand? And if you go in his Donovan Pictorial Bible Dictionary, right? This portion get an Esther. Like should get a little more information in terms of how and who this king was, and the vast area or kingdom that he had, provinces that he had over at that point in time. And today is a day we're going to eat, drink, and celebrate the deliverance of our people from the hands of our enemies. Because make no mistake, we have enemies. And our enemies are every other nation under the sun. Every other nation that is not Israel is our enemy. Because all of them are against us in some way or some form, or had us in captivity. And today we're going to see how these nations look at what?
Esther, which may come from Akelan, a Jewish orphan maiden in the city of Shushan, who became queen of Persia. Her Hebrew name was Hadassah.
Right, and Hadassah, when you look at translation, it's what Hadassah is the Hebrew, right? And it's really, the name of a tree, I think the myrtle tree. And the myrtle tree is a symbolism of, fertility. Or I should say not fertility, but it's something that is rich. You understand? As Commanding General YAHANNA, once said in this posting one of the same feast, but that it's just a way of saying that she's instead of saying she's a baby maker, she's a myrtle tree. She's very fruitful, very bountiful. And our people, our women are very bountiful women. Right. You understand? Children is coming in abundance in the nation of Israel. Even in our slavery, even in our oppression, you see where we are very fruitful. No matter how much they try to push abortion on us, they try to poison our children, they try to do everything under the sun to destroy us. Even way back in Egypt, when they want to destroy us as a people, because they say why? They wanted us not to multiply, because sooner or later they realized that we would have been outnumbered and they would have no power. So this is why they always strive to try to cut us down, to destroy us as a people. Right?
Her cousin Mordecai, who was a minor official of the palace, read her as his own daughter. Xerxes, the Persian king, had divorced his wife,
right?
And when he sought a new queen from among the maidens of the realm, he chose Esther.
All right, drop that, and let me just get back to this story. So this was just showing that this king, as they have it here as Xerxes, you understand? You also have him, or I should say, pronounced or has the name as Ahasuerus, right? But it's basically the same person, but just different name. More or less, they called him at that time. I'll continue.
that in those days,
Mm-hmm.
when the king I.S.U.P.K sat on the throne
Mm-hmm.
of his kingdom, which was in Shushan,
Right.
the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign.
Right. So this kingdom, the main palace was in a place called Shushan. Now Shushan is in an area called modern day Iraq. All right. Go ahead.
He made a feast unto all his princesses and his servants,
Mm-hmm.
the power of Persian and Mede, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
So basically, what it's really saying is that all the areas that he reigned, from India even unto Ethiopia, all those princes, governors, and all the so-called important men at that time gathered together, for them to really have so-called peace. Mm-hmm.
And the honor of his excellent majesty,
Mm-hmm.
many days, even 104 days.
104 days. Go ahead.
And when these days were expired,
Mm-hmm.
the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan,
Right.
the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Continue.
Verse 6. Where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple, 2 silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in diverse vessels of gold, and vessels being diverse one from another.
Right. So it basically, he really set in a real big, lavish party, in essence. And the place was decked from top to bottom. You understand? And they basically, pimp out the place, make the place nice, and they go and basically celebrate at this point in time. Right? Or would you stop at?
Verse 7.
Verse 7. And when it drop down, go to verse 10.
Come.
Right? Yeah, verse 10.
On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded me, woman, Bista, Habonna, Big Taha, and a Bagta, Zeta, and Kakos, the 7th
chamberlains
that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
Right. So these men were basically the top men. These were the men who had power, who used to serve the king. So anything the king wanted, different areas that had the men charge over. So some go have charge over the woman, some men go have charge over the house, over the food, or whatever it is that makes the kingdom run. These men are the headmen, the chamberlains. These are the men direct right up to the king and seeing about everything that the king needs to get done, basically. Continue.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment, but his chamberlain,
by his
chamberlains, therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Right. So at this point, they're keeping a big party. Right. It's on the 7th day. The king say, "Yo, my wife there. I'm gonna call my wife. Well, I call my wife. Bring she. Let me show all these men how good looking my wife is." Basically, that's what he's doing. But what happened? The queen, her name is Vashti. Even the name, sounds East Indian, right? So this really showing, who was ruling at the time. So-called Elamites. You understand? Is a mixture of two empires, right? Persian and Medes. And this guy ruled from India, even down to Ethiopia, right? So it had a lot of kingdoms and people mixed here in his kingdom, right? So he called the queen to come out and meet him. The queen basically blanked him. You understand? And he get blank. So we're gonna see now. When he get blank, he got angry, vexed. I mean, how dare this woman? I is the king. I called you to come down here, and you blank me, or you refuse to come to meet the king, who is in control over 120 provinces. So his anger burned in him. Continue.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew law and judgment.
Right.
And the next unto him was Shina, Shita,
right.
Mata, Tashish, Miris, Sina, and Mukan.
Right.
The 7 princes of Persia and Media,
right,
which saw the king's face.
Right. So these men were right up there with the king. All right, continue.
And which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she had not performed the commandment of the king. Ahasuerus,
by the chamberlain.
by the chamberlains, and Mukan answered before the king and the princes. Vashti, the queen, had not done wrought to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king I.S.U.P.K for this deed of the queen.
Okay. Let's hold it a second. You know, even what this guy Newcan said, right? Or Memucan, he made something that was a statement that still stands true in the aspect of when they look at what this woman did, which is Vashti, right? They realized that she not just only blamed the king, but because of what she did, which was extremely disrespectful, it shows that if the queen could do that to the king, then you would show that you would teach the other women more or less an evil lesson. You understand? And show that you could disrespect your husband. You understand? And really create havoc. So these men recognize that and recognize that what she did was something that was real owdy and disrespectful. And they didn't want that type of attitude to really come and sit on the other women who would be looking out and looking at the queen at that time. Yeah, even that there's a precept to try and just to show what something like that could do and cause. You understand? There's is it Ecclesiasticus 9:1, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can read that. Because there's even a heathen, understands or wants respect from a woman. You understand? Or from their woman, I should say.
The book of Ecclesiasticus 9:1. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself.
Evil lesson. So when you allow certain things like that happen, you teach her evil lesson. You understand? Where you'll get disrespected and not just not just disrespected, but you create a monster in your own house, as we would say down. When you create a monster in your house, you are the dealer, and that monster will come after bite you. And that's something that in the Israelite school we need to practical knowledge, that we keep our women under the order of the Most High. And that is something that, in the scriptures, it teaches you how to treat your wife, how to treat your children, how to treat your family. And this is something that we take very serious in understanding and in the school of the U.P.K. So if you continue on the starting we reached verse 17. Yes.
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come aboard unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti, the queen, to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Understand? So they realize that this what this woman do here, that will cause real trouble. Understand? And because that will cause trouble, they say, nah, you gotta be able to deal with this. You want to chime in if you want.
Basically, the story thus far is that this woman was totally out of order and disrespectful to the king.
That's right.
And we see a lot of that today in today's society, where the black woman is disrespectful to her husband, the majority of them that out there that not following the laws of the Most High.
Yeah.
And all of the other nations and them basically had a woman in check. But our women are very disrespectful unto their own men. So this is why we're coming back and learning history, we culture, so that women will know how to be wives, holy wives unto the husband.
That's right. And even as we continue this story, it's 10 chapters. So we're trying to go through as fast as possible. Just really to get the whole impact of the story. But you're going to really see how really a righteous woman of Israel is supposed to act. And this is how so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Indians. This is the kind of, example that you need in being a young woman, in being a young virgin, in Israel. This is a very good and excellent example to work with. All right, continue.
Likewise, shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the kings, princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes.
Right. So he made this a decree. Continue.
That it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And when the king decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor.
That's right.
Both to great and small.
And so what they understood is that this act that this queen did was so disrespectful that it could affect every single household. Even today, you're seeing it now. Some of these things are these so-called entertainers, superstars, all these hip-hop stars. When these women, disrespect men or disrespect their husbands, this is a wicked example, of how to treat your husband. So you're seeing now where these movie stars, these hip-hop stars, and the way they act and the way they behave, and this so-called independent woman, so-called feminism, that is being pushed to our black women, whilst the so-called Chinese, so-called East Indian, so-called whites, they keep their husbands. They don't want to be independent. They still have their husbands and have their families intact. Whilst our women, this feminism is pushed on them, and it makes them become what we call whores.
So just to touch on what you're saying, most of the entertainers and them that they would portray to young women to be examples of when, as entertainers, that are dressed like whores. If you watch the music videos and things, and some of these women and them are husbands and things at home, but they still have to prostrate themselves like whores just to be a part of the oppressor's kingdom.
That's right. That's a happy point there. Continue.
Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes and the king did according to the word of Memucan, for he sent letter into all the king's providences, into every province according to the writing. Therefore, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
Yes, so you see, they ain't play with that. Every single language, every single area, let it be known, right? That everyone should bear rule in his own house. That it should be published according to the language of every people. So the 120 provinces wherever he was ruling, he let it be known, yeah what? The man is the head of the house. You understand? That there should be no disrespect of any man's house. You understand? And even this even king, had to do this to really keep, that his masculinity at that point in time. You understand? We jump to verse 2. Kesha. You can pick up verse 2, Babu Kesha. It's 10 chapters, so we have some reading to run through. So we're trying to be able to get, the whole Esther chapter 2. Again, we are the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. Today is the Feast of Purim. We're going to get the story and really see righteous women and righteous men in the scriptures. And we're going to see why we celebrate this particular feast day. It's a commemoration of the great act that this sister and this brother, namely Esther and Mordecai, and what they did to save the nation of Israel, which were under captivity at that point in time, or over the Persian and Medes, who was being run by Elamite king. Right? Go ahead.
Esther chapter 2, verse 1. And after these things, which when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Verse 2. Then said the king, servants that ministered unto him, let there be a fair young virgin sought for the king.
Right. So you say right. Forget Vashti. Look at the next woman. Continue.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the province of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the woman, unto the custody of his. He gave the king, chamberlain, keeper of the woman.
Right.
And let their things for a purification be given them. Verse 4. And let the maids which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
Right, so you say here what? See this thing? I'm gonna look for a nice young woman again. This woman too disrespectful. So you check and say go in all the provinces and look for the most beautiful woman you have that could take and be the new queen. Yeah, continue.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shemiel, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
A Benjamite. Now, a Benjamite today would be the so-called West Indians. You understand? We are the so-called Benjamites. From Trinidad, Jamaica, all the Caribbean islands going up the chain, so-called Benjamites. Continue.
Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away from Zedekiah, king of the Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Right? Who the king of Babylon had carried away. Continue.
And he brought, verse 7, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle, daughter, for she had neither father nor mother.
Right.
And the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother was dead, took forth his own daughter.
Right, and this is something that was really normally in the nation of Israel. You know, it's really synonymous to the whole brotherhood and sisterhood factor, where if you have a brother or a sister, you understand, where you say the parents died, the nearest of kin, you know, they would be able to take care of the family. You know, and Israel always took care of their own. Whether it be the widow, whether it be the poor, the laws of the Most High catered for something like that. And here it showed that where he took care of this young lady as his own daughter. Continue.
Verse 8. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house to custody of Hegai, keeper of the women.
Right.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her.
Continue.
And the same maiden which were meet to be a virgin given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the woman.
Now, this is just to show you the favor, not just only favor, but the beauty of the woman of Israel. There's no woman on the face of the earth more beautiful than the sisters of Israel. And to narrow down even more, the sisters in the I.S.U.P.K. And so we have some real bad sisters inside here. And trust me, especially from the tribe of Benjamin. You know, you have to give Benjamin the props. And all the nation, all the women are beautiful. Benjamin women, trust me. Continue.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
And that was something wise that Mordecai did. Because sometimes, you know, some people like to flash, like to show, you know, well, okay, I reached the top. But he really told them not to do it because why? Our people are at a lower state. You up there with the king. You know, how would that, you know, reflect? Just like even some of our leaders today. You understand? They are wealthy, flashing, all a big house, big car, and the rest of Israel in the gutters. You understand? So Mordecai was wise to tell her what he told her. Continue.
Verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the woman's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Continue.
Verse 12. Now when every maid turn was come to go into the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the women, for so were the date of their purification accomplished, to wix the 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for purifying of women.
So it gave them enough time for them to get basically a whole year to get themselves together. You understand? to do all this stuff that women had to do, feed them up good, get them nice, fix them up real nice, present them to the king. Continue.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the woman unto the king's house.
Continue.
Verse 14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the woman to the custody of Shahashgaz, the king, chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
Right. So basically, she went in, and whenever the king desired to see she will call she, because she was under basically the hand of the king. Continue.
Verse 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abigail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing. But when Hagar, the king, chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed, and Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that looked upon her.
Now, out of all the women, now this man have 120 provinces, from India to Ethiopia. And out of all the women, Esther, a Jew, you understand? So-called a woman of Israel, a Benjamite. Out of everybody in the province, that is the one that the king wanted. That sister had to be that's a different level of beauty. You understand? That different level of flavor and style. That alone will just show you the kind of woman we have in Israel. And you would see it all over the world. You understand? Wherever our women are, they have the best shape, the best style, the best flavor. You name it, we set the trend. Our women set the trend for everybody else to follow.
So
yeah,
go to Benjamin to say she was a bad sister.
She was a bad sister. Trust me. She wicked, as we would put it. You understand? And for that to happen, that alone will tell you the kind of beauty that our women had. Continue.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebet, in the 7th year of his reign. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
That's right.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
You understand? So Vashti couldn't come close to Esther. Not even close. That alone showing you the quality and the style and the flavor that this sister was. That she basically blew away this king. When this king come and see nobody else could have compared to her. Continue.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princesses and his servants, even Esther feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts unto the state of the king.
Continue.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate.
Go ahead.
Verse 20. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandments of Mordecai, like as was when she was brought up with him. Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigtan and Teras, of those which kept the doors, were wrought and sought to lay hands on the King Ahasuerus.
Now, just before we jump on that point, just go back to the verse before. You know, you're seeing something that is that is a rare quality. You understand? Even though Esther was up there with the king, she still listened to everything that Mordecai told her to do. And that is something that is really amazing to see the way that he brought up this sister. She didn't forget who she was. She didn't forget the instructions from Mordecai, who raised her as her father. You understand? He raised this girl as his daughter, and she still listened to him and understood exactly what he wanted to do and listened to him. She never get high and mighty. You know, some of our sisters get money, get wealth, and that is it. They forget who it is. They forget the people. And that is something we cannot forget. When we are here, or whoever, or whenever you get in any position of power, you cannot forget who you are. You cannot forget your people. I didn't know that chime in or anything on that.
And just show also the training and the discipline that she would have get. And she held on to that training and discipline, even though she did rise as a woman of Israel. And it's the same thing that we had to bring back to the sisters on them in the ghettos, in the west, in the east, in the north, all over the world where Israel is, that we sisters had a respect unto the husbands, unto the fathers, unto Israel, so that we could build back a proper society.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and that is what we need. Understand? And that could only happen in the I.S.U.P.K under commandment General YAHANNA. By following these laws and these commandments, this book, what we call the Bible, this is the guideline, this is the blueprint for raising the nation of Israel out of the hell that we are in right now. You understand? To teach and to train our young men, and especially our young women, how to be, how to act. You understand? How to be righteous brothers and righteous sisters here on this earth. So that we will no longer be in hell. We will no longer be under the feet, under the oppression of our oppressors. Understand? I continue.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Right.
Verse 23. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Right. So basically, there was a conspiracy. These two men wanted to kill the king. Mordecai found out. And Mordecai told Esther. Esther carried directly to the king. And when the king investigated, the matter was true. And these two men who wanted to kill the king, they were killed. They were hanged on a tree. You know, and this was, you know, something that Mordecai did. And not just only in hindsight, it was really something that would set a trend and would really be rewarded later on. Right? Chapter 3.
Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things, the king Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him, and all the king's servants him reverence.
Right, so we see here, yet again, our oppressor, you understand, slimy and sneaky as ever, in almost every kingdom, always coming in and finding themselves up in the reins of power. Always finding a way to come and scheme and to find their way up so that they can have reign over the children of Israel.
Okay.
And if you when you get some more understanding who Haman is, you understand, you know, he said he is Haman, the son of the Hammedath, you know, the Agite. And when you find out, when you really look and research who are the Agites or the Agite, you already see that they are actually the descendants of the Amalekites, right? So if you go to 1 Samuel 15 and verse 8, you will see, because the Amalekites were supposed to be destroyed. Understand? Saul got instructions to destroy all the Amalekites, but he disobeyed that instruction. And because of that, you know, you had the repercussions of it. What? We'll see.
Okay. 2 Samuel 15 and verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings and the lambs.
Right, so basically, King Saul was supposed to destroy the Amalekites. He didn't do that. And because he didn't do that, some of their descendants kept on and they made their way, slithered their way, all through these different kingdoms, all through these different captivities. And they are the ones who always find their way in the reigns of power. And when you go back in the book of Esther, you'll see where this Amalekite, this what we call the so-called Jewish man today, you understand? He found his way up in power right up to the king. And we're going to see the heart of these people, even from back in that time. And you see there's a perpetual hatred for us, scriptures, even to today. So we go back to the book of Esther.
Okay. Esther chapter 3, verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressed thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he taught scorn and lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Assyria, even the people of Mordecai. With 7, in the first month, that is, the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of the king Assyrius, they cast pur, that is, the lot, before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Assyrius, There is a certain people scattered abroad, and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
Their what?
Their laws are diverse from all people.
Our laws in the nation of Israel is diverse from any other nation on the planet. The Most High gave us laws and commandments that are above any other law, every other thing set on this earth. And this made us separate. We do not eat what the other nations eat. We do not do what the other nations do. And this put us apart. And this always made us different or separate from all the other nations. We never used to so-called mix. We're not supposed to mix with these other nations. Because why? They will turn us away from the Most High. Continue.
Okay. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have charge of the businesses to bring it unto the king's treasuries.
Now look at this dirty, nasty, stinking human. You understand? All because of his pride, all because Mordecai will not bow to him. You understand? And also because of our laws, we are not to bow, we are not to subject ourselves to any other nation or any other people. And Mordecai knew that. And that is why he took the stand that he did. But because, you know, he had so much hatred for our people. You understand? Not just for Mordecai, but as I say, when the other men told him of his people, instead of Mordecai alone, he wanted to wipe out the entire nation of Israel who were in captivity at that point in time. You understand? And let's just read over that last verse.
Okay. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the businesses to bring it into the king's treasury.
And he paid 10,000 talents of silver. Now, this man willing to pay money, to pay people to wipe out the nation of Israel. But let's look at it today, right? 10,000 talents of silver. If we try to quantify that in money in today's time, right? A talent of silver is approximately is one of the weight measurements that they used to use in ancient time, which actually weighs about 33 kilograms. You understand? So 33 kilograms, that is an average of probably about 75 pounds, right? Now that is 75 pounds or 33 kilograms for one talent. This man paying 10,000 talents. Now just to put it in perspective, right? 1 gram of silver right now is about $38 US. You understand? Now, 1 talent is 33 kilograms, or about 75 pounds. 1 kilogram or 1 kilogram of silver, which is about 2.2 pounds, is 560 US. Understand? Now, 33 kilograms, which is 1 talent, is 18,524 US dollars. 18,000 for 1 talent of silver. Now he paying 10,000 talents of silver. You understand? So in today's money, this man willing to pay out of his pocket, right? 185,245,500 out of his own pocket to wipe out the Jews. You understand? That's the level of hatred and the level these men, these Amalekites, this Amalekite wanted to go to wipe out the nation of Israel. $185 million out of his own pocket. If you count it in today's money, that is in US. And if you just want to quantify it a little more, when you look at it in our currency, which is TT, which is 1,296,718,500. This man wanted to spend over 1 billion TT to wipe out the nation of Israel from your own pocket. So that alone will tell you also the amount of money, amount of wealth he had, and power. You understand? So this was the level that this man, this Amalekite, wanted to go. Understand? Continue.
Okay. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The who?
The Jews' enemy.
The Jews' enemy. So they knew and understood that this Amalekite or this Agagite, because of his family, but he's really an Amalekite, this was the Jews' enemy. They are not our friends, they are our enemies. Continue.
Okay, verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called unto the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus, was it written and sealed with the king's ring. Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
So you see, they basically sign, seal, and deliver all the instructions. They have it that in one day, there was a wipe of the nation of Israel in one full swoop. Man, woman, and child. And take whatever they have as a spoil. This is what they wanted to do to the nation of Israel. You understand? And this Elamite and this so-called Jew, as we know them today, this Amalekite told this king to wipe out this people, wipe out the nation of Israel. You understand? And this is nothing new. Throughout the scripture, you see when many different nations wanted to wipe out, even whilst we were in Egypt, wanted to wipe out the nation of Israel. Continue.
Verse 14. The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the place, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed.
And the city what?
And the city Shushan was perplexed.
So they was confused. They didn't know what was going on. You understand? When this order passed out, that was it. And then fellas sit down and drinking, having a good time. Understand? On top of all that. Continue, verse 4.
Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
So you're still here. So you're seeing where the children of Israel, when they realized that this commandment come true, that they were going to be wiped out. You understand? They said, nah, there's trouble here. You understand? And everybody went into mourning. And they had a right to go into mourning because why? The date was set for them to be wiped off the face of the earth. You understand? And this is something that, you know, even Mordecai, when you realize what's going on, you see, this was a custom in Israel to lay in sackcloth and ashes, was to show that sense of humility, that sense of brokenness, you understand, towards the Most High in prayer, or in a sign of mourning if somebody is dead or somebody dies. You understand? And this is something that the whole nation of Israel did at that point in time. All who heard it, all the Jews who heard that they're going to be wiped out on a particular day, started to go in sackcloth and ashes. Continue.
And verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Continue.
So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. And also he gave him the copy of the writings of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication unto him, and to make request for him for her people. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Hatak, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who it be called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not called to come into the king these 30 days.
Exactly. So now we're seeing Esther, Mordecai basically come to Esther and let you know this is what going to happen to their people. And if you ain't believe me, this is the document. He's showing a proof that they're going to wipe us out from the face of the earth. You understand? And even you're seeing where Esther, actually even in a weak moment, showing that your whole entire people are going to get wiped out. But she's saying, if I go before the king, basically, he will kill me. You understand? So this is, showing, that carnality, showing that I would call it selfishness. He's studying you, I go dead. But in reality, the whole nation will be wiped out. You understand? So even, thinking on that way, even some of our women sometimes even have that aspect of that carnality where, you're only thinking about yourself. But this is greater than just you. This is for your nation. Continue.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall the enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
You see, Mordecai cannot put it more. He cannot put it more better. He basically check her and tell her, here what? If you feel you'll get away because you're living by the king, that ain't gonna happen. And he make it even so more directly, let you know that if you don't want to do it, guess what? The Most High will raise somebody else to deliver the children of Israel. Because Mordecai understood that the Most High will save his people. If you don't want to do anything about it, he will raise up somebody else. You understand? You're not that important. In other words, if you fail to do it, he will raise somebody else. And if you feel, well, okay, I will get away, say you and your house. You understand? Your father's house, your name will be destroyed. So he basically tells you straight. Who knows if you're reaching this point, at this place, at this height, to help your people. And this is why a lot of us, in Israel, sometimes we end up in high positions, so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. You end up in high seats of power. You understand? But you forget your nation of people. You understand? Yeah, go ahead.
So, it's just like the poison of Christianity today. A lot of the black leaders and them seeing the oppression of the oppressor. A lot of them praying for the oppressor. You understand? Until it had pictures the other day, some of the black leaders praying at Trump's side. And they're seeing the oppression that he's doing towards our people. So they take people, the Lord had to move away. You understand? The Lord had to move away these black leaders, these useless black leaders, and rise up righteous men in the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
To really guide the people in this time.
Yeah, because the politicians, so-called black leaders, who they so-called help the people, but they're just helping themselves. You understand? And continue to oppress their own people. And even back then, you're seeing how these things were happening. So we're going to continue to read and see what came through in the story. Continue.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat, drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish.
So you see now she realized what Mordecai says is true. She say, oh, that is it. I don't really care. Fast and pray for me 3 days. Don't drink. I'm going in, and if I dead, if I die, I die. And that was the spirit that she received after Mordecai spoke to her. You understand? And Mordecai being the righteous man that he is, you understand? He had groomed this young woman. So he understood who she was and her spirit. And he was able to guide her yet again in the right direction. Continue.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Yeah, continue.
Esther chapter 5. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
So you see how bad this sister was. If you're going to the king unannounced, he's a dead person. You understand? And she dress up, make yourself beautiful. You understand? Push yourself in her gear, as we say here. Put yourself together and step before the king. And the king couldn't resist. You understand? He couldn't resist. And he said, whatever request you have, even to half the kingdom. That I tell you the impact that she made to him when she stepped him at that point in time. Continue.
And Esther answered, and it seemed good unto the king. Let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther had said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, It please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request. Let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king had said. And then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved, he was full of indignation against him.
He was full of indignation. So you see, he was burnt up with hatred. You understand? So much so that every time you see this man, and Mordecai in pain, no man he care to bow or to show you any kind of respect. Because you understand? And he even got more hatred for him after going through all this and seeing Mordecai. Continue.
Nevertheless, he refrained him. And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him. And ranked him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, Moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as Mordecai the Jew sitting in the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet, and the please Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
So you see, wicked man with a wicked woman. You understand? So you see here, the wife advised him, build a gallows. Go into the king because he's right up in power with the king. You understand? He has the king's ear. So whatever he do, whatever request that he grant, because he already got the power, or to say the paperwork to destroy all the Jews. And we're going to see here now that he was going specifically for Mordecai. You understand? Continue.
Esther chapter 6. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of the records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king, to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man, Salakia, with all whom the king delighted to honor.
So you see, Mordecai just coming in, you understand, to talk to the king, to destroy Mordecai. Already built the gallows. So he basically going just to tell the king, yo, you want this man here dead. And at the same time, when you see how the Most High protects his people, the king himself reading how he saved him, basically, saved the king. And at that same time, when Mordecai looking to come to destroy Haman coming to destroy Mordecai, the Most High set it up that he is to be saved at that point in time. And not just be saved, but to set him up and to bring more disrespect or more embarrassment to Haman. Continue.
And bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Then the king said unto Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus it shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wife, Salakia, then said his wise men, and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hastened to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
So you're seeing he's stepping in to go and destroy Mordecai. And at the same time, Mordecai is going to be raised up, as I say, or honored by the king. And it's so ironic that your enemy is ready to destroy you. You understand? Right? He's the one that had to raise you up. And that's why you see even now in the nation of Israel, all who feel well, you're in a position of power. Those heathens, these other nations who ride there with you, who you think is your partner, who you think is your brethren. You understand? Some of them might openly show it like, oh, hey man, was disgusted. You understand? Some of them will smile in your face. You understand? So-called black man, Hispanic and Native in them, but they hate you in their heart. You understand? When you're out doing your business, you're on the job, or you're even in some high seat, they do not want you to be there. You understand? And especially even if they are in a position of power, they always want you under their feet. You understand? They call you sir, madam, and mister. They want that kind of honor, that kind of recognition. But the minute you do not give them that, they hate you to the core. Continue.
Esther verse 7, chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther, on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we were sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
So like I say, see now, Esther basically she laid down real skillful. You understand? You say if we were sold to be slaves, I wouldn't even bother to come in. You understand? I wouldn't even waste my time. You understand? He probably might accept to be a slave. But you're gonna be wiped out. So this is why she petitioning the king at this point in time. You want to chime in with anything?
Basically, you see where the Lord had set Esther in a seat to save two people at the appointed time. And righteous sisters within the I.S.U.P.K also lift up the men, because the work that we're doing, we can't do it without the righteous sisters and them, supporting us, going out there amongst these nations and them and speaking the truth. And we know that the truth offends. So this is just an example unto other righteous sisters in the nation that want to come into the I.S.U.P.K and build on the righteousness of this sister, Paul Esther.
I'm right. Continue.
Esther chapter 7, verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that does presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
So understand? So basically, he was scared rotten. You understand? His spirit ran out of it because he realized that boy, the king vexed. You understand? I say, he said, for he saw there was evil determined against him by the king. When the king heard this and he realized what's going on, he said, nah. So right now he reached that point, no, I could lose my head. You understand? Yeah, go ahead.
Just showing you, sometimes when you're digging a pit for somebody to fall in it, you always end up falling in the same pit.
That's it. That's it. Continue.
Okay. Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? And the word went out of the king's mouth. He covered Haman's face.
Good night. So you see there, Haman begging Esther, basically. Oh God, do something. Forgive me. Whatever he was doing, he was begging, and she just rocked back. You understand? On the bed, whatever couch or whatever they had at that point in time. And she relaxing because she don't know. He going through, man. He begging. Same time, the king falling. See him over, she begging. You understand? I said, nah. You say, well, you gonna take my wife too? You don't want to kill him. You don't want to wipe out the nation already. I want to take my wife? Nah. And this last part, I say here, as the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. So basically, the man who was there, take him one time. Brisk. Power bag over here and tote him out. You understand? Continue.
Okay. Verse 9. And Habona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Good night. So you see what's going on there? So at the end of the day, you understand, this man, Haman, this Amalekite, who wanted to destroy the children of Israel, as Dr. Barrier said, that same trap, that same thing that he wanted to set up to destroy Mordecai and destroy the nation of Israel, basically that fell back on him. You understand? The same gallows that he built, same gallows again hang on. I tell you how I should put it, how much style the Most High has. You understand? Where that our enemies, when they try to entrap us, when they try to destroy us, they themselves fall into that trap.
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
It's just like in the time of Egypt, when the Egyptian king decreed death on the firstborn of Israel, and the same judgment ended up falling on his own house.
Yeah. You understand? And you can see even when they put drugs and guns into our communities, you understand? They try to spoil us. You understand? The Most High still use those things. Even when you look in the US, all these drugs and cocaine and heroin they put in our communities. You see, even themselves, the opioid, epidemic is decimating their community. You understand? The same thing that they try to push on us is destroying them. Even with all the diseases that they put in our community. Continue.
Esther chapter 8. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
That's right. Yeah. Continue.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman, the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
So yet again, you see here now that not only Esther skillfully make out Haman to the king, and he was killed for it, but the deed wasn't done there. You understand? Remember, he still put out the order that was in all the provinces to wipe out all the Jews. That order wasn't stopped. So here now she's telling the king, she's trying to get to the king for him to really pull back that order from destroying the people. Continue.
Verse 4. Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther rose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman and the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? And how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther, the queen, to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written is the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring. May no man reverse.
So you see, even here now, Esther, and more specifically Mordecai, was given power to be able to do whatever they want, basically. And they reverse the order that went out to destroy the Jews. So, we can continue from Esther chapter 8, from verse 8. Verse 8? Yeah. So what?
The book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse 9. Then were the king's scribes called at the time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Shaban, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the Lithuanians,
The
lieutenants, and the deputies, and rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language.
So you're seeing where they have the power now to send these letters to every single province that is under the king. Continue.
Verse 10. And he wrote in the king's Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young
You continue.
And wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
So you're seeing here now where the road letters are basically telling the Jews now that anybody who comes to try to destroy you, I say, to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish. So basically, you're letting you know, don't come along these people. And if anybody step toward you, or they deal with them, you understand? Or they defend all yourself. And that's something that is paramount in the I.S.U.P.K. We defend ourselves. We do not go after nobody. If somebody comes after us, we are all within our rights to defend our home, our family, and our name. Continue.
Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 25th month, which is the month of Adar. the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province, which published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
Read that one more time. That sounds glorious. That glorious testament. One more time, Bible Kushal.
Verse 13. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province, which published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
On our enemies. So every single nation at that time was our enemy and still stands today. Continue.
So the post that rode upon the mules and camels went out by hasten and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given to Shushan the place. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad.
So you see, Mordecai come out wet, as we would say. Come out with a crown of gold on the head and fine linen. You understand? And with power and authority from the king. He had the king's ring or the king's seal or signet. So whatever that was stamped with, that was the word of the king. That was the order of the king at that point in time. Continue. Verse 16.
The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor.
Continue.
And in every province and every city, whithersoever the king commandments and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast of a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
Right. So you're seeing here now, where they say, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell on them. Anybody chime in on that? What do you think that means?
Basically, it's saying right there that, you know, because these people now who are the Jews in authority, as the scripture says, when the righteous in authority, everybody else fall in line.
That's right.
The Jews in authority right now, so everybody decided, whether coming to get slave or be the example, just as the example that was taking place with Haman, everybody fall in line.
Everybody fall in line. Oh, that's good. That can be anything.
Yeah, basically, just like Professor SHALAM said, we realize, you know, Jews have favor. So everybody want to follow the Jews. Just so it will be in our next time when the king come back, that we're going to set the trend.
That's right.
Upon the face of the earth. So we just had to hold on to the laws, statutes, and commandments and follow the lead of the I.S.U.P.K. and get the nation back in order.
Yeah, that's right. Understand? So even here you're seeing where, you know, what both you all say is so true. You understand? Because of the fear, and I realized that the Jews had power to destroy them. Everybody is their friend now. You understand? Everybody want to be a Jew. You understand? They want to be nothing else. They want to be friends. You know, they want to follow the laws. They want to do everything to appease the anger. You understand? of the children of Israel, of the Jews, so that they wouldn't be destroyed. You understand? So all of a sudden, the same one who hates you, all of a sudden, you want something to eat, you want me to help you? You want me to be a slave? Because why? They don't want to be destroyed. Because they realize that instruction, that commandment that came out would have been the end of them. Because they were planning to kill the Jews, but that plan fell back. And they realized that they were the ones to be destroyed. I continue on verse in chapter 9. You're almost there.
Book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 1. Now in the 25th month, that is the month of Adar, in the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, thought it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them, that hated them.
You understand? And this really going to show you the essence of what it is. They thought they had power over us at that time with Esther, but when it flipped, they realized that we are the ones who had the power over them. You understand? And it goes further to say, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. These other nations don't get wax. They hate us. You understand? Wherever they see us, they call us what? All the bywords that the scriptures have and more. You understand? They call us what? Cockroach, pest. You understand? Good for nothing. Monkey. You name it, nigga. Because why? They hate us, Salakia. But that is how they see us, because they hate us as a people. They love our music, they love our culture, they love everything that we do, but they hate us. Even though we build this world, we build these nations. Every powerful nation it has is we built it. You understand? Of the labor of our backs. Every nation is great. And we are the bottom of every nation in society. Continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing to add, the promise of the blacks, Hispanics, and the native Indians from the Lord, see that leadeth you into captivity, shall go into captivity.
Revelation.
He that killeth you with the sword must be killed with the sword.
That's right.
So we just had to do what we're doing and continue to build a nation.
And just continue to build a nation. That's right. Continue.
Verse 2. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the kings Asuras to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
So you see, all who wanted to kill them, and the Jews know that, right? That one across they wanted to kill me, that one wanted to kill me, because the order went out. And when the order from Haman went out at that time, these other nations was preparing to wipe us out. And the Jews in all these cities knew who wanted to wipe us out. Understand? Continue.
And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
That's right. Continue.
For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater.
So you see it again. The Most High esteemed Mordecai to the highest level of that kingdom. And so much all the lieutenants, all these so-called men who had power at that time, feared him. Because why? He just gained more power in that wicked kingdom, and he was able to protect his people. Continue.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
And them that hated them. Jump down to verse 15.
For the verse 15, the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 15. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month, Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand.
Continue.
But the other Jews that were in the king's province gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and had the rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 70 and 5,000, but they laid not their hands on the prey.
So 70 and 5,000 men. You understand? That alone will show you our enemies were scattered far and wide. And we had to fight for our lives and kill 75,000 people. You understand? Just to protect ourselves. So you see, even then, they were still wanting to come at us. Continue.
On the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and they made it a day of feasting and gladness.
So here's now where we see, the establishment, of the Day of Purim, which is more or less a remembrance of what took place at that point in time. Continue.
But the 13th day of the same they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwell on the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
Continue.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Assyria, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly.
That's right. Continue.
Verse 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning unto a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
So you see, this is what today is. Today is a day for us to be able to remember what our forefathers, or also and our foremothers in this aspect as well, what they went through and what was established at that point in time. And this is a remembrance of the great thing that Esther and her uncle Mordecai, what they did. You understand how Israel was delivered once again from the hands of our enemies. And yet again, we will be delivered in this hell that we're in right now, where we subjected to every type of discrimination on the planet as a people, spoiled and robbed. And yet again, we're going to continue and we're going to come out of it. Drop down to verse 24.
Book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 24. Because Haman, the son of the Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast her, that is the lot, to consume them,
and destroy them.
Continue.
But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called all these days Purim.
That's right.
After the name Pur. Therefore, all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them.
Continue.
The Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year.
So you see, this is why we continue up to this day to keep these feasts as a remembrance, as a memorial of what they did in saving the nation of Israel at that point in time. So you're going to continue to see the good work that was done, and to show you and establish it, what it should be called the Feast of Purim, and the 2 days that we're supposed to eat, drink, and be merry, and to remember what Esther did and what Mordecai did, which was righteous in the sight of the Most High. Go to verse 31.
Book of Esther chapter 9 and verse 31. To confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoyed them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed, and the matters of the fasting and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
That is it. This is essence of what Purim is. You understand? For us to really rejoice in the destruction of our enemies, who wanted to destroy us from the beginning. From one wicked man, Haman, the Amalekite. You understand? Also, the king. He can't escape either. You understand? Even though the Most High turned his heart through Esther. You understand? He signed a decree to destroy all the Jews. You understand? And we see it where the Most High delivered us through righteousness and through the favor of the men and the women of Israel. And with that, I pass the class to priest and officer Michael.
This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcement. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, SHALAM, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the word. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Time, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 to 10. Means 10 in the Hebrew and is pronounced Ma'ishra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, we give to the Treasury Department of Teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Upcoming holy convocation will be, well, right now we are in the celebration of Purim, right, which will go on until tomorrow, right, and also we have the annual Passover, which is this is the 51st Passover, right, which will be April 9th at sundown at Westchester County Center under the 98th Avenue, White Plains, New York, right? The Passover is $100 per person, right? And for more information, you can contact 719-673-5165, right? Reminding Apium and Aquapium to check on social media such as I.S.U.P.K.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirt, like pants, like headband or scarf. And with that, we say, I imagine. We got to turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kwadash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashemayim, Natanawa, Lakam, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kawawak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawawak Yanawa, Mala'a, Tabayan Nawa, Anasayawan, Abal, Awashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wataparat, I will Aman.
What you say in English? Like in Hebrew, in English now. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We'll say the blessing for the nation in Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shai. Wa Makala. Wa Alahayim. Matazabia. I.S.U.P.K. YAHANNA. I.S.U.P.K. Asaranya. Patazal Kayal Wapium. Yahweh. Ba'asham. Awashai. Tawada Aman.
What we just said now in the English is blessed Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Micah, and the angel, commanding General YAHANNA, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it.
We're going to say the prayer for the power structure. Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Natanawa, Akak, Rapa'ah, Kal Madawa, Akak, Ataha, Matazarium, Akak, Lahakwayam, Hamatayam, Akak, Ayrakawat, Hatamayala, Lagarashan, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Tawada Aman.
What we just said in the English is Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
The power to heal.
Power to heal.
All manner of sickness.
All manner of sickness.
All manner of disease.
All manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the leper.
Power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
Power to raise the dead.
The power against unclean spirits.
Power against unclean
To
spirits.
cast them out.
To cast them out.
In the name of YAHANNA.
In the name of YAHANNA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
We're going to say now the curses. It's blessed with Yahweh.
Blessed be Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of YAHANNA.
In the name of YAHANNA.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and
To
destruction.
the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasures.
The treasures.
Of the rich of Israel.
Of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy
To
sanctuary.
enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils.
Send evils.
And curses.
And curses.
And punishment.
And punishment.
And destruction.
And destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nations.
And the nations.
And their drug dealers.
And their drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All governments of our enemies.
All governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Islam.
Christianity.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia.
Militia.
Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads.
Skinheads.
Posikomatazzi. The gay movement.
Gay movement.
Lesbian movement.
Lesbian movement.
Spies. Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program. Army.
Navy. Air Force.
Marines.
Wall Street. Open up the internet. And the airways. The cable access channels. And the radio channels. Convict the spirits. Of any of thy people. That seek to stop us. And bring swift death. So that can bring swift destruction. All the heathen. That stand in our way. Or try to stop us. From broadcasting your word. Throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro. Through the earth. And consume them. Let the plagues shake the house. Of the thief. And the murderer. Let YAHANNA. Michael. And Gabriel. Come down with a flying saucer. And punish all the heathen. That come up against us. As we speak thy words. Cause it to be known. By all. That it is the angels. That have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media. Throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake. At thy coming. In the name of YAHANNA. Thank you always. So be it.
Now we're going to say the blessed Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai, Barak Lanao, YAHANNA, Baba Saparia, Barak, Rapah, Hagan.
Hila. Tashika. Kwasi. Kobe. All the brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K.
All the brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K.
All the brothers and sisters fighting to come in the I.S.U.P.K.
All the brothers and sisters fighting to come in the I.S.U.P.K. Commanding General YAHANNA. Generals. Captains. Officers. Troopers. Sisters. Children. Aitisha. Tazapa. Yapa. Patazar. Tamar. All the brothers and sisters fighting to come into the truth. All the brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K. Commanding General YAHANNA. Generals. Captains. Officers. Troopers. Kayalwana. Barak Napash. Shariah. Hussein and family. Indian family. Ikoto family. All the destroyed of Israel.
Commanding General YAHANNA. All the generals. Captains. Officers. Troopers. Students. Sisters. Shamka. Kaya. Yapa. Para. John family. Koto family.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commander General Yahanna.
Generals.
Generals.
Captains.
Captains.
Officers.
Officers.
Troopers. Sisters. Children.
Students.
All in the Israel of Israel.
All in the Israel of Israel.
John family.
John family.
Ikoto family.
Ikoto family.
The Alexis family.
The Alexis family.
Tazawa and family.
Tazawa family.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commander General Yahanna. Generals. Captains. Officers. Troopers.
All Israel.
All Israel.
Israel of Israel.
Israel of Israel.
Yakar.
Matazah. Radha.
John family.
John family.
The Alexis family.
The Alexis family.
The Ikoto family.
Ikoto family.
All the brothers and sisters in
All the brothers and sisters in I.S.U.P.K. All the brothers and sisters fighting for the truth. Where's the Zion? Daniela. Trisha. Wrong family. Franco family.
All the brothers and sisters fighting to come into the I.S.U.P.K.
All the brothers and sisters fighting for the I.S.U.P.K.
Mercy on the destroyer of Israel.
Have mercy on the destroyer of Israel.
The Bawa.
The Bawa. Teresa.
Entire family.
Entire family.
Basham.
Yahushai.
Tawada Aman.
Tawana.
What we just said in the English is Lord.
Lord.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Bless us.
Bless us.
And Israel.
And Israel.
And the school.
And the school.
Bless.
Heal.
Shield. Protect. Our loved ones.
Our loved ones.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Thank you. Soviet.
Sir. All in sisters, could you please take a seat, please? Stand. Men of Israel, let's give the teacher one courtesy salute. Amajim Shabbat, Amajim Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua
Yadamata. Sisters, could you please stand? Men of Israel, let's give the sisters a one courtesy salute. Sir, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim Barak, Yahweh Shemaya Hashem Yahshua. Yadamata, class dismissed.
What do you think?